I'm Koyah, and today we're going to talk about barriers to educational success. And if you did not know, a barrier is an obstacle or something that hinders movement or achievement. And today, my panel and I are going to talk about how to help students overcome those barriers. So to kick this off, I have a question for you guys. In terms of education, what do you think is going on? Why are so many students falling through the cracks and being left behind? What do you have to say about that?
Well, as an education advocate of more than 30 years, I think that the North Carolina testing program has a lot to do with that, repeated failures.
Okay, explain that.
Well, the North Carolina testing program has set forth certain standards for children to pass tests. In other words, if they don't pass the North Carolina test, then with a 3, then they're retained. From 2001 to 2002, from 97 to 2001, there were in my county alone.
What county?
Wilson County, there were 9,000 retentions out of a population of 12,000 students.
So you're saying in Wilson County, 9,000 students were retained in a county that had 12,000 students?
That's 9,000 retentions. Not necessarily meaning that that's 9,000 students, but it means that a student has been retained more than one time.
Okay.
So
why is that happening? That's my question.
I think the teachers are giving up on the students and just looking for a paycheck and
not all teachers, because when I was a teacher, you know.
Right, I understand that some of, because it's some good and some bad with every case of things, but I just thinking that some of the teachers have given up on the students and they're just there for their check every month. And, a teacher's supposed to inspire a child to do better. It's like you were saying earlier.
Okay, now you're saying that a teacher is supposed to inspire a child, but to be honest with you, with that focus on testing, some of them know that they have to cover so much of the curriculum,
right.
Okay? They know that the testing standards are there. So even though you want to inspire the children, you don't always have the time to do that.
It's a lot of pressure being a teacher as well. I don't think people kind of understand that. And I think it's a lot of pressure being put on the teachers, and they not, might not have the kind of counseling they need and training. They just putting the teachers out there and say, hey, you finish college, we're putting you in the class.
Yeah. Well, it's actually time to go and pull another question. Who wants to pull?
Yeah, I do. Okay. How can your relationship with God help you to overcome barriers to school or life success?
Anybody? I'll start out and talk about that. For me, God is very important in my life, and having a relationship with Him for me helps me in my planning, helps me to know which direction to go, helps me to figure out first what His will is for my life. Planning, of course, faith without works is dead. So there's a lot that we have to do as well once we pray and get that guidance in terms of which direction, He leads us to go. But what else would you like to say?
I also think that many times, many of our children, particularly those children who are failing, come from such a bad socioeconomic background.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot to hold on to. So I think that having God and having God in their life gives them something to hold on to and gives them a source of a higher power that they can turn to. So I think that is very important.
Yeah, and the Bible also says that God is an ever-present help in our times of need. So, just knowing that when you have that relationship with Him, that He is there for you when you do need Him, is very important.
One thing that always trips me out is when children say, I was a mistake. It was a mistake for me to be made to be here. And I want to say to any child out there is a purpose for you being here. God has a plan for your life. You are not a mistake. And you have a great future ahead of you. You have to believe that.
You got to change your way of thinking as well. Stop looking at the glass as half empty and look at it as it's half full. You just got to change your perspective on life. And just know you're here for a purpose. And when you find out your purpose and you find out what you're good at, home in on that, work on it, go for your goals. Like we said on other shows.
All right, one more question.
Have to help with this.
Pick a good one.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Do you feel that the current media, culture, music, TV, film, has an effect on students' achievement, attitude towards school, higher education, and careers?
So basically the question is asking, does the media impact our student attitudes and what they do in school? How do you guys feel about that?
Jardine and I were just talking about that.
Now, wait a second. I want to go over to the student. Gabby, what do you think? You're in the schools. What grade are you in? Talk to me.
I am going to the 10th grade, and I think the TV does have a lot to do with it because we can go and watch a TV show, and they say that you really don't have to have an education to get where you want to go, but in real terms, you really do have to have one. So.
Yeah.
How do you not let that influence you to do like with the stuff you see on TV and dress the way that people dress on TV and act? You know, it's a lot of bad influences out there. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, not try to be like, you know, the bad people on television.
Well, first you have to go to God and say what you need to do, and then you also have to be, I am who I am, and be who you are.
Right.
Yeah, so
like
I guess what Gabby's saying is, you know, the peer pressure thing, you can't try to be like everybody else. You have to be who God has called you to be.
Don't let that bother you.
But right now, I'm going to throw it over to Joel Dean for our Did You Know segment.
Did you know that the North Carolina dropout rate is at epidemic proportions? Did you know that Christopher Simon of the Policy Watch just released a report this past week that talked about a recent cover-up by politicians and school officials to demise the number of actual dropouts in North Carolina? Also, did you know that many of our dropouts are related to the many retentions over the past year because of the state's testing program? Did you know that right now we're going to turn it back over to Koyah Rivera?
All right, and at this time, I'm going to throw over to Iman, the professor, and the DJ. Iman, what's going on over there?
What's going on? What's going on? Back to the topic of what you was talking about, Koyah. I feel like in our schools, we have to have that very uplifting our young people. But we gonna throw it over to my boy Genesis, and he gonna give us the question for us today.
All right, the question is how do we reach the unmotivated child in the school system, the child who doesn't care about learning?
I'll take that. I think what we can do is for the parents, I feel like for our kids, maybe give them something to look forward to. Like, if you bring me good grades and I give you money, or if you bring me good things, I can buy you those kicks you want. And keep encouraging our young people, because it's hard for us nowadays and they're trying to do the right thing. So I feel like with that we can encourage our people. Ain't that right, Genesis?